Today, I'm going to rank every single win condition in Clash Royale from worst to best. What is a win condition? Well, that's simply something that can target a tower reliably. So something that is attracted to towers, or something you could place directly on a tower. I usually use top 1000 stats to make my rankings. I'm going to use all of Ultimate Champion to make this video a bit more broad. Doesn't matter what stats you use, however, the Rune Giant's at the bottom of the list. What does she do? She doesn't do anything. Maybe if she was free, then she would be a decent card. But she barely tanks. She doesn't have enough HP to be a real good tank. She hits like a wet paper towel, and she barely buffs troops after her death. So all you need to do is kill the Rune Giant, and then you've got a bunch of useless support troops behind it, and a big elixir disadvantage. Good luck. 3 Musketeers are next up, and these are kind of I don't even know if you can call this a win condition. Royale API, the website, classifies them as a win condition. They don't directly target towers, but they're kind of the main part of their deck. They're really bad. They've all actually got a little tiny bit better. I saw one person using it over the last month and a half. Basically, they just feed your opponent's spell value and are almost never worth actually spending 9 elixir. Every single time they just get taken out by a spell. So that's it. Now, this might surprise some of you, but Golem at 21, it is genuinely the worst ground tank. The Rune Giant doesn't count. That's not even a real card. The Golem is really, really bad. The problem with Golem is it's just way too difficult to get consistent value out of your pushes when every single thing in the meta is anti-beatdown, like specifically ground beatdown. Lava is obviously way different than this. Giant is different than this because when you go Giant, you can still defend the opposite lane. It's only 5 elixir. Same with Goblin Giant, it shoots things. The Golem is just a walking blob. You'd rather have every other walking blob because it's cheaper and they're usually just going to get killed, and you don't win from your actual blob. Anyway, you win from the support troop. And Golem Prince, contrary to popular belief, is not an actual thing. The Elixir Golem. What's really interesting about the E-Golem is you'd think it's really oppressive, but over the last couple of months, it's been replaced with Goblin Giant P.E.K.K.A, and now E-Golem is just, hey, let's play a coin flip game where 40% of the time I guarantee I win, and then 60% of the time I lose. That's what it is. It's literally a coin flip, and you can't outplay bad matchups. You can't outplay anything, you just play things. It's not good at all, especially in the current meta. Suspicious Bush is technically a win condition, and I'd actually dead-ass say it's better than both the E-Golem and the Golem. The Suspicious Bush has seen pretty good success rates, albeit in a low sample size. They're only being used in really kind of memey bait decks, but the 2.0 bait, like Cannoneer, Curse, Suspicious Bush decks are actually really good, and the Bush deals a ton of damage, and you can't really deal with the Bush on top of the 50 other answers. So is it more of the bait deck being broken? Yeah, but Suspicious Bush is statistically better than both the Golem and the E-Golem, which is weird. So we have the Goblin Drill, which is one of the cards that I won't be including the evolution for because the evolution is literally worse than the normal one. I go into more detailed explanation about this in my evolution ranking, but the Goblin Drill, just a solid win condition that's really outshined by just bait and Goblin Drill having a lot of splash counters in the meta right now because bait is so popular. So although there will be some Goblin Drill one tricks and some pros who can outplay you with Goblin Drill, it's never going to be anybody's go-to choice in this current meta. Next up is the Electro Giant, which has actually seen an increase in usage rates since the Golden Knight buff. Now, it's not a very, very severe increase in usage rates. There's still a low amount of people that are finishing high with E-Giant, and even though this is based on all of Ultimate Champion, E-Giant is kind of difficult to play as a player who doesn't know what they're doing. You have to be pretty smart with E-Giant, although there's some free matchups out there. You're not going to be able to outplay pretty much any cycle deck unless you know what you're doing. So that makes E-Giant relatively hard to play, especially for just your average Ultimate Champion player, ranking it lower than maybe it would be if a really good player was playing it. Next up, we have the Mortar. I will be using the evolution because the evolution is just used more. Although the normal Mortar is probably like the worst building. That's not one of the spawners because Mortar is just not really good. You're gonna like everybody's seen that one clip of freaking 35 elixir spent to get one mortar shot. The evolution mortar is where it's at. One of these bad boys connects onto your tower. Oh my god, the literal fear that goes through my heart when I see an evolved mortar plop down and I start panicking to place things like it's scary. And the Mortar is okay as a win condition. In the meta, it's been hurt by the fact that Cannon Card has gotten nerfed. Mortar is just not a great card right now, but that's not to say it's not one meta away from being decent. Right now, you can outplay people with Mortar, and it's still a pretty decent win condition. It's just that most of them are better. Skeleton Barrel is really underrated. It's mainly used in things like Mega Knight bait and recruits, but when it's used in those decks, it's really good at applying pressure and just forcing out one of your opponent's swarm answers, whether that's a log, a zap, a card like a Valkyrie or something. It's not just about what the Skelly Barrel does, but also what it opens up for the rest of your deck. Skelly Barrel, pretty underrated, and although it won't really ever have that crazy of a chance to deal too much damage, the pressure is always there, and it helps your deck to do better, so it's just a pretty decent card. Ram Rider has been pretty balanced ever since it got that little balance change where they nerfed the dash range of the Ram Rider, which I wish they would have done to the Prince, but didn't, so the Prince is still insane. The Ram Rider is used in like one deck. I don't know if it's possible to be used in any more decks. It's kind of an awkward card. You'd mostly rather have Hog Rider or Royal Hogs. They're all three really similar, so it's kind of awkward because the Ram Rider's not a bad card necessarily. It's just only used in one meta deck right now, but that's why I don't think that it ranks too low. It's not a bad card at all. It's just, it's okay. It's pretty balanced. At 13, we have the Giant, pretty much close to the middle of the pack. The Giant is good. It's a good meat shield. That's pretty much all it is. Also, the Ice Golem is not on this list. It would be at 22. But yeah, the Giant is just a nice tank. It has a lot of health, and it has a lot of damage as well, which is really underrated. So if there's some reason your opponent can't defend the Giant really well, you're going to be able to have success with the Giant getting damage, but it's mainly used as a big meat shield to soak up a bunch of your opponent's heavy hitters while you get the time to get lightning or your Prince backed up by arrows or something. It's really just a meat shield and an effective one. Statistically speaking, the Battle Ram is outperforming the Giant right now. Now, I don't think that's entirely an accurate representation. I'd probably put the Battle Ram like right below the Ram Rider. I think it's better than the Skelly Barrel, but a little worse than the Ram Rider. But I don't know, given that I'm not a really like professional bridge spam player, but if this changes your opinion at all, a lot of people choose to go with Battle Ram instead of Ram Rider. Maybe it's a little bit because of the fact that it's going to give you the barbs, potentially some defense as well. Evo Battle Ram, it forces out more typical answers than a Ram Rider would. The Battle Ram is pretty underrated, and it's really, really effective in bridge spam, but it's also only used in bridge spam type decks, so that might be inflating the statistics a little bit, but the use rate and win rate is on par with some of the best win conditions in the game, which is a little surprising, but the numbers don't lie. At 11, we have the Wall Breakers. They are at 11, right? Yeah, the Wall Breakers have a fairly packed punch, especially when evolved, but even when not evolved, the pressure and the kiting they can apply for only 2 elixir, pairing them with the right bait decks and just the right, it doesn't have to be bait decks, but they're mostly used in bait decks, especially the Evo being really effective. It's not bad at all. Wall Breakers are really, really good, but at the same time, they're only 2 elixirs, so they're not going to be like that staple that carries your deck, but they're really, really useful, and they can outperform expectations in a lot of situations, which is why they rank higher than a lot of cards, because they're more consistent at getting value, especially for the basically no risk that you run in playing a Wall Breaker. Reaching our top 10, we have the Royal Giant. Now, the Royal Giant is kind of interesting because with the recent nerfs to Hunter and Witch, it has fell off a lot. It's still really good. It's still good, but the problem is in the meta, if people start to see, hey, Royal Giant's pretty good, we're going to make tweaks to the meta, and Royal Giant's no longer going to be that good. You can still outplay with it, but Royal Giant is one of those cards where if people try to start countering Royal Giant, they're going to counter Royal Giant. The Graveyard at number 9 has gotten a lot better, a lot quicker than it may have appeared it was going to a few months ago. Graveyard was in the slums, and it was pretty bad. Splash Yard was pretty bad, but the Evolution Witch is just hand in hand, chef peanut butter jam jelly, and it's just beautiful to see. Not if you lose to Graveyard, however, but I've been winning my Graveyard games, so more Graveyard, please. The Graveyard is a card that is easily counterable in the right meta. This is not the right meta. The current hut plus Witch style of play is really beneficial to the graveyard defensively, and you've seen a lot of random new graveyard decks that have come up in the meta just to abuse these sort of decks that are in the meta right now. It's like the 6th time I've said meta this like segment, but the graveyard has just gotten a lot better. The Balloon, ladies and gentlemen, not only a staple in Lava Loon, which is a pretty solid deck, but also in Miner Loon, which is ridiculously good right now and has been seeing an uptick in use rate recently. Balloon, solid win condition. The problem being it's a little bit difficult in certain metas to get Balloon through. This is not an extremely hard meta for Balloon, given that although there's Goblin Huts galore, the Witch being like the main air counter and not being something like the Evo Hunter is good because the Witch doesn't do as much damage, and Lightning just got nerfed, which also kind of indirectly buffs Balloon. So Balloon, just a pretty solid win condition. It has a really high use rate, which is probably because it's a staple in like 2 or 3 decks, and it's got a decent win rate to match that as well. Now this one's tricky. I'm not exactly sure how I should rank the Miner. Straight up as a win condition, if you only have Miner to get damage, it's not very good. But the fact of the matter is that Miner is paired with most win conditions as a secondary win con. So if your win condition can't break through, the Miner is there to help out. If you need to snipe some things, Miner is there to help out. So Miner, a really, really useful, versatile win condition. I believe it's actually the most popular win condition right now in all of Ultimate Champion. 11%, which isn't crazy, but it's used as a utility piece in so many decks and can get consistent chip damage. So it's just good old reliable. At 6 is the Lava Hound, and the reason I say this is because it's not it's not a list based entirely on Ultimate Champion top ladder. It's Ultimate Champion as a whole, and Lava is one of the best Ultimate Champion decks if you're trying to push up low in Ultimate Champion. Lava Hound is extremely easy against a lot of these decks if you know what you're doing, and there's a lot of free matchups in the meta once you start to understand the deck lower on ladder. So you're going to be able to beat so many people who don't really know what they're doing, and until you get to high up, Lava Hound does not really fall off until a little while. The top 500 being really hard, and the top 200 even being pretty hard as well. Given the last meta, Lava wasn't very strong, but it can bounce back and has been extremely versatile, so it's not worth knocking it much further down than 6. At number 5, I haven't slept. It's 5 in the morning. Hog Rider! I could have done it better. But the Hog Rider, very effective, very high use rate and win percentage right now all throughout Ultimate Champion. If you need a win condition, you throw the Hog in your deck. It's good. It's easy to outcycle people with Hog cycle decks. And even though the Hog is sometimes hard to get to the tower, you can always make up your tower damage with Firecrackers and Earthquake chip damage. So it's not really a necessity to have to worry about getting tower damage with Hog Rider. And it's really easy to get your opponents to mess up, make a prediction. One Hog Rider connection on the tower can change the entire game. Coming into our top 4, we have the Evo Goblin Barrel. The normal Goblin Barrel is good as well, but the Evo Barrel is what really shines. It's oh my god, it's so hard to deal with. With the right hands of a bait player can just completely destroy you, and it's not going to be easy to defend either if they set it up right. And bait has been a top 3 win condition over the last season, so it's been really, really good, especially with the high use rates showing just how good it is and it being able to outplay a lot of different decks. Expo is ridiculously strong right now, and while it is pretty hard to use against certain matchups in the meta, the fact that one of the best Expo players in the game, or the best Expo player in the game, Betfist, is beating a lot of matchups that other Expo players aren't, leads me to believe that there is a big skill gap with Expo, and it is able to outplay anything. And if you're able to outplay anything, you're a top 3 win condition in the game. That's just how it is. Expo is fairly strong if you know what you're doing, and just because it's hard to start using doesn't mean that there's still not a lot of easy matchups in the meta, and that it's not weaker at all, if that makes sense. The Royal Hogs balance an extremely high 52% win rate in all of Ultimate Champion, which is ridiculous, and a 7% use rate, which is also really ridiculous, because you'd think, hey, if the win rate is really high, maybe that means the use rate is lower. No, both the win rate and use rate of Piggies is really high, being that they're effective in a strong deck on Piggy's EQ. Queen Piggies, Queen Hoggies, whatever you call it, as well as being good in Recruit. And they are just a very, very solid option, and both of those decks are strong in the meta, so you're going to see Royal Hogs with really good stats. Last but not least, probably completely boosted by P.E.K.K.A. Goblin Giant, is the Goblin Giant evolution. Now, Goblin Giant Evo has the highest win rate out of every win condition in Ultimate Champion, and a fairly high usage rate as well. This is pretty much entirely based on the fact that there's currently a really boosted deck in the meta right now. He's not actually that great, and I wouldn't recommend investing in him because we don't know when this deck is just gonna, you know, just die again. So it doesn't look like it's gonna die this season, but with the Inferno Dragon Evo and Inferno Dragon being more popular, it's going to be a little bit hard to win some matchups. But Goblin Giant as a whole right now is just extremely boosted. It won't last this long. I wouldn't recommend upgrading an entire new Goblin Giant deck, but there's several Goblin Giant decks that are pretty strong in the meta, and the stats just clearly show him as the best win condition in the game.